All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time here at CNBC-TV18. Let me start by congratulating the entire team for putting together this huge, fabulous and successful, hopefully, event. So, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, I'm going to start with you. Did you achieve what you set out to achieve in the 3 days of the Global Fintech Fest? What, to your mind, were the biggest takeaways?
From last year to this year, it would be probably 2 or 3 times, right? So, the scale-up has been pretty good. This is the second year of physical event. Well, and this is what this event shows us, that we have probably one of the largest fintech ecosystem in the world today. Yeah. And this is only going to grow, because I believe that we are just at the beginning. With the complete support from the government and the regulators, we can only grow from here. And if you have heard the finance minister talk about her vision for where she wants inclusive growth of the economy.
Fintechs will play a huge role.
Definitely. And then the Reserve Bank governor talked about his vision for how the fintech should grow, how the industry should create a self-regulatory organization. Yeah. I believe that we are in for a good run over the next 10 years, and this will play an important role in the transition to a $10 trillion, $20 trillion economy that the Prime Minister wants India to be. And this is actually a good preview of what could happen at the G20 from India's presidency.
Well, if this is a good preview as to what could happen in the future, Yash, actually, let me toss it to you. This is a stage where you have the industry fully represented, I would say, not just the incumbents, the traditional players, the new age companies, and then you have the policy makers and the regulators that are setting the tone for how the industry is to evolve over the next few years. What were some of the biggest messages that came out on both the sides that will shape how we'll see this industry evolving over the next few years?
Sure, Ritu. I think the 2 big messages are that we are moving from an era where fintechs and incumbents were potentially competing or looking at each other as either enemies or frenemies to an era where they want to grow together. And there is a lot more complementarity. I think that's such a critical foundational change that it will allow the overall revenue pools and profit pools to expand, and therefore that will create enormous opportunities. So I think that's one which is very big. The other one has really been, literally here, RBI itself has put up a massive booth.
Innovation Hub.
Innovation Hub, which is a signal of how progressive India's regulatory stance is about allowing the right kind of innovation to happen. It's not an easy task to strike the balance between allowing unbridled innovation versus protecting consumer interest and national interest. But I think it is the most sincere effort to try and do that. So those 2 things really stand out for me.
All right. In terms of numbers, Srinivas, if you could sum up what GFF 2023 has been.
Yeah, thank you, Ritu. In fact, I just got this number, so I'm going to read it through, so it makes it easy for me. So we had estimated about 800 speakers. We ended up with 900 plus speakers. 25% of them were women. We were hoping 30, but hopefully, like Yash said, it's going to be bigger and better, more women participation from speakers next year. We had speakers from 30 plus countries, right? While we had more than 100 countries represented as overall registration, speakers were from 30 plus countries. 100 plus countries had their regulatory dignitaries kind of attend the event, already much larger at a global scale. 300 plus expo that was there. And I talked about investors. We had 300 plus investors from early stage to late pre-IPO, and 2 billion plus conversation started from here. We are hoping all of that could go through very quickly. 22 plus reports over the period of last 3 years. 100 plus product releases. This is a record. We had 100 plus new products being launched in GFF23. 80 plus academic white papers released during this period. And we had hackathons. We had 3 big ones and multiple small hackathons. And the big thing is the footfalls. We had over 65,000 footfalls from over 100 countries in GFF23. So you can see the size and scale of this event.
Well, I think the numbers will speak for themselves. Mr. Gopalakrishnan, as an investor yourself, as an entrepreneur, to set up one of the first, startups in the country, where do you see the trajectory for fintechs in terms of what's to come, the biggest risks and the biggest opportunities that they must, sort of exploit?
So the biggest opportunity is the growth of the economy, the size of the economy. The 1.4 billion people, 20% of the world's population, from the fifth largest economy to the third largest economy, from $3,000 per capita to $10,000 per capita. All of this, huge opportunity. And with India's focus on now data being the driver for decision making in the fintech space, and the governor again talked about frictionless credit enabled through data. Right? I strongly believe that the opportunity for fintechs to grow. So we have estimated about 10,000 fintech startups. 10% of the total number of startups. I strongly believe that we will have an explosive growth of fintech startups, leveraging emerging technologies in ways we can't even think of today. And with data, they will come up with new products, new services, etc. Now, the challenges, you asked me about the
risks.
Yeah, the risks are that, we are still a developing country. We need to make sure that, all of us, all the stakeholders in this must build trust of the society in the ecosystem. So we have a larger responsibility than just growing our own organization. We are building an industry. That is very, very important, and that we need to do.
I have to ask you, since you're an investor yourself, were there any pitches made to you? Have you considered any, sort of infusion of capital into any of the thousands of, entities that were present here?
So, Axelo people were here. They did. So, two of our investee companies are here, and we did meet some early stage companies to take forward those discussions.
So no term sheets were signed during the 3 days?
No.
But conversations have been initiated.
Definitely.
Yash, before we wrap up quickly, give us a glimpse of what's to come in October of 2024.
Okay. Look, crystal ball gazing is never easy. And
sorry to put you in a spot there.
Not at all. It's familiar territory, so I will try and do my best. I think we have a tough crowd. The Indian investors, the founders, the policymakers, they are extremely smart and ambitious. So the last 3 days, while we do celebrate our accomplishment with some degree of humility, but we also do recognize that there are some important strides to take to really take this a notch, if not a few notches higher. So if I, on behalf of everyone, and we haven't had a deep discussion on this, but I think it's safe to say that we need to expand our frontiers in terms of inclusion and diversity. We need to have a much richer representation from women, from entrepreneurs who are not necessarily Metro and Bangalore and Mumbai. So that's one axis on which we need to make a lot of progress. I think the other axis is that genuinely the Indian experiment around fintech has so much to offer to the world that it is our responsibility to take it even more international. So giving it a much global flavor and getting ideas to flow across borders, that's I think the two. So those two I can say.
You're echoing the thoughts of the finance minister beyond the top 30 cities and building in India for the world. I think,
there you go.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, gentlemen. Congratulations again on a fabulous event, and we wish you all the very best for the next session.
And thank you all for CNBC being part of this GFF.
It has been our pleasure. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.